9 weeks down and just 3 remain here for Season 4 of 2022 for RaceSpot Friday Night Primetime, where this season we have put it over to you. You are voting for what we are showing you on your screens every Friday evening. And this week we are here at Road America for the Spec Racer Ford for something a little bit different once again. It's been 9 crazy weeks of action. Week 10 is about to go underway. Myself, Cameron Roger, and Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth with Zach Johnson behind the scenes as well. And Zach Sweeney, it's certainly been a crazy season of action. We've had all sorts of different cars. Last week we went to something even different again to Talladega with the Indy cars, and it just shows you that when you put it over to the people, you get some interesting votes.
Yeah, they do. They don't definitely know what they're voting for, and week in, week out, we are just in awe at some of the racing that we've had. You know, we've been to all the different disciplines of motorsport. We've been just everywhere around the globe, and it's been phenomenal to see, and I'm glad we still have 3 weeks left of it. And you can see there's still a relatively close sort of vote for obviously 42, 29, 26, and poor Skip Barber at Sanford only 3%. But for the majority of the time, it's been a close vote. So we really kept on our toes on what the community wants.
Absolutely. And if you want to get yourself involved with the vote, it happens on the RaceSpotTV Discord. And coming into each week, there'll be the vote in the Primetime voting channel. Then you get the 4 options. And of course, you just click on the reaction and get your vote in. So if you want to have a choice next week, get yourself on the Discord and just wait for the announcement for that vote to be open. It generally closes so about 12 hours or so before the race happens. And as you say, Zach Sweeney, 42% of the vote this week going to the Spec Racer Ford is something myself. I haven't actually seen anything about this car, so we're learning over the course, and it certainly looks like a very interesting, quite unique style of racing, and this is why we love iRacing as well. It's got these quirky cars on it. You can race something a bit different. It's not just about the GT racing. It's not just about the prototype racing. You can come to something a little bit more grassroots, let's say, as the Spec Racer Ford.
I compared it to sort of one of those fairground go-karts that you get when you arrive to sort of one of those pop-up fairs or whatever. That's exactly what it looks like. It's such a small car, very nippy as well. Only a 1.6 4-cylinder engine. It's so tiny, and yet can still produce some pretty good speeds. Literally no aero on it either, no complicated aero or anything. It is just it just looks like a lot of fun to drive, and I'm sure that the drivers on track at the moment, all 12 of them, are going to be enjoying sort of rigging that car around Road America. It's a long track for such a sort of a small car. You can see there 2.5-minute lap times in qualifying, with Roseborough currently topping the timesheets. But yeah, it is something a little bit different. We're learning as we go, as you say. But to be fair, we've done that for a couple of races so far this season. That's sort of the whole point of Friday Night Primetime, is to give these sort of series their sort of time in the spotlight. But yeah, really interesting to see how this race will go, because for us it's an unknown.
You're absolutely right with that last point as well. The whole reasoning behind this as well is to show off some more different styles of racing that you can go just out on a Friday night here on iRacing. There's so much to offer. There's so many different categories. There's so many different tracks, cars, all sorts of different combinations. And if you are more newer to iRacing, every single week, the different series that we are covering go to a new track. So it's not too repetitive. You have your week, your few days of driving that track, and then you go to a different track and you can learn something different. We've had all sorts over the course of this season. Started way back when we had the Touring Car Challenge at Spa-Francorchamps. We've been doing all sorts of different things. We've been off-road, we've been rally crossing, we've gone to GT, other GT cars, gone to Indy cars. So much is here and left to offer for iRacing, and today is going to be something pretty crazy indeed. 2.5-minute laps around here, Zach, so it's certainly a car that is going to be more of a momentum factor. You've got to be getting the exits of the corners very well, because these straights are so long in this car that I'm sure the slipstream and the drafting effect is going to be really big as well.
Yeah, for sure. You can't afford to sort of trip over yourself, especially at a circuit like Road America. It's one of those that you do have to nail the acceleration zones. A lot of it is kind of high speed, especially in a car like this that is going to be slightly slower in terms of the power side of things. You can't make up for it just by slamming your foot down a little bit more. You have to work off the back of the corner previous to you, and then try and carry that forward throughout the lap. So yeah, it is going to play a big factor. It is the slipstream, the toe, and pretty much everything. Just trying to keep yourself clean and consistent. Well, it is only 10 laps. That is a long time, sort of relative to these cars, especially with 2.5-minute laps. It's quite a long time for these cars, and it's going to be a tough ask, especially again at a circuit like Road America, because it's not too forgiving in terms of track limits either.
Yeah, you got to be using every millimeter around here, especially, for instance, on that final corner. Just got such a big curb, but you do have to be, of course, watching out, because if you get those off-track counters, they will slowly add up. As Panera there, currently in at 8th place, the number one, it goes to the top actually by just less than a 10th of a second from Barretto as well. Number one car being the highest I-rated driver at a 6.8k. So some very talented drivers in the field, multiple 6k I races. Plever there goes up into 5th place as well. So I think this is going to be a very competitive race, and considering the track is so long, a second covering the top 8 I think is very good indeed, Zach.
Oh yeah, for sure. For a 2.5 minute lap time, to have only a second cover the top 8, it's so close. And as we say, with the tone, the slipstream, it is going to bring everyone that much closer together. It's going to be a proper slipstream fest, like we saw sort of with the Porsche Cup at Spa. Hopefully, just we don't have to wait so long to get all the action this time around. But yeah, really looking forward to how this race goes. As you say, very skilled field. And yeah, well, this is how they rack up after qualifying. I certainly can't wait for the lights to go out.
Absolutely. Panera and Barretto there on the front row, with Roseborough and Maney 3rd and 4th. And to round out that first place, we've got Plever and Jason Green there in that green car, ironically, in that 6th place. McCain and Murakami there for the top 8, with Danilo and Bradshaw for the top 10. Just 12 cars on the field today. We've got Love and Cantor rounding out the field there. And some crazy liveries to look out for with all these drivers as they line up slightly sort of uphill immediately from the grid, but then all the way down towards turn 1. It would be quite a decent braking zone in these cars. They'll get a lot of speed. It's a long run there down towards turn 1. And as we said, Panera and Barretto leading the way towards the front. Is going to be a lot of slipstream we expect. There's a lot of straights around here, very long straights indeed, and of course that just makes it even more difficult to pull away at the front. A very close qualifying indeed, as we're about to get week 10 underway for prime time here at RaceSpotTV. You have voted for the action, and today it is the Spec Racer Ford at Road America. 10 laps of action coming your way. Panero leading the way, and here we go. Green flag, the number one machine on the right-hand side, gets a good launch, but the red car of Barretto on his outside is keeping him steady towards turn number 1. 12 cars all trying to find where they're going to break into this turn 1. Very fast indeed, still side by side as the rows go, coming down towards turn 1. And we've got Panero there coming through turn 1, keeping that lead. Barretto goes wide though. It's going to be challenging as we come down towards turn number 2. Just a little kink in the road before the braking zone into turn 3, where the slipstream will happen all the way down the back straight.
We're going to have to see what Carlos Barretto can do. As you see in the number 7 machine, they are bumper to bumper pretty much the entirety of our top 4. What can Roseborough do? What can Marnie do as they now run down this back straight, as they hurdle towards the next braking zone? Downhill, of course, as they break for turn 5. They have to be brave. They have to be bold, but also do not want to risk anything on this opening laps. Defensive goes the number 1. You can see to the left-hand side, but there goes the third place man of Carlos Barretto. Now into 2nd place goes Brandon Roseborough, still side by side nearly as they run on the exit, but Jurek Marni just having a bit of a look as they run uphill, but still emergent as they were. Panero doing a fantastic job at maintaining that lead.
Yeah, Roseborough having a really good run there down the back straight, coming through the kinks, and is actually getting a good run once again. Barretto not the best exit there. Roseborough trying to look, but staying on that racing line, trying to have the better run. Just braking a little bit early, so mainly caught up once again. So the car's obviously still staying really close as you come through the carousel. Amazingly fast right-handed corner. You've got to keep the car so balanced through here as it works itself out onto the back straight, of course, for the world-famous kink as well. So important once again. Very fast indeed. The drivers need to be keeping the momentum going, as it's really just one long straight. You've got to be careful not to go off the track there on the exit, as well as the grass and the dirt gets thrown up out towards the next braking zone. Panero still leading the way from Barretto, but Barretto looking towards the inside of the next corner. That's going to be a massive run down the inside there from the orange car. Can he get it stopped on the apex? Yes, he can. Barretto goes to the lead, coming towards the end of lap 1.
Brilliant move, committed to the inside, committed and brave, but I don't think Panero was particularly interested in fighting that one too hard. He knows he's got 9 more laps to get that move resealed. He just needs to be careful to make sure he can keep that momentum up and to keep Brandon Roseborough and Jurek Marni at bay as they emerge now down onto the pit straight as they climb up the hill. It is a very steep incline for these small engine cars, but they are about to manage it, and of course they can dip back down as they run towards T1 once again. You can see Panero pulling to the right-hand side. He's going to try and have another look for the race. Did Roseborough as well. We can see already that the slipstream playing a massive factor.
Certainly is. All the drivers coming towards turn one now, 3 wide in the middle of them, trying to work their way into some sort of room. Roseborough goes to the inside. Maney comes through as well. Barretto from first goes all the way down to 4th place, and that is the slipstream that we're going to see multiple times throughout this race with all the straights that we have around this track. Pinero then retakes the lead in the number 1 car, as he did with the number 2 of Roseborough right behind. Maney still following behind, and this battle is just going to continue, I think. And you've seen already they're not really pulling away from the big pack, so it's good to see that we're getting such a close fight. But once again, Roseborough almost bump drafting now down through the kink of turn 4 all the way towards the braking zone of turn 5. Positions being changed. Maney gets up into 2nd place, and Roseborough as well, as now to the outside. Maney's trying to look to the lead, but Pinero's just holding there on the inside. Now back up the hill, he goes a little bit wide, and the 2 of Roseborough's thinking about it again.
Yeah, well, that is the nature of this car, of this circuit, and of this series. Clearly, Pinero doing a fantastic job of just maintaining the lead, but Marnie has done a brilliant job of just hammering the pressure. And as we say, it is going to be the concurrent theme throughout this race, I'm sure. Just look at the pack of cars that we've got all the way to Murakami there in P8, then a bit of a gap back to Dangello. But yeah, still very, very close. Only 4 seconds covering the entirety of our 12-car grid. And you can see this fight for first going all the way back down to 8th, bumper to bumper as they run their way through the carousel once more. Nowhere through for now, but you can definitely see that the number 3 machine Amani is definitely eyeing up a move. But when you're sandwiched in a pack like this, you're almost forced, your hand is forced to attack, because otherwise you're going to get swallowed up by the pack behind, like we saw with Barretto down that pit straight.
Yeah, when you got so much slipstream that you basically don't have a choice of overtaking, you have to go for every move. And now that is what Maney's doing to the inside there as we come down towards Canada Corner. It's the outside of the long kink though, but he's got enough overspeed, gets to the inside and gets that number 3 machine up towards the lead. So we had so many different leaders already, and we're just at the end of lap 2. Pinero's still there in 2nd place, and Roseborough getting close once again. And really is that top 5 starting to get a couple of car lengths ahead, with Plever there just on the back end of this little train, but I'm sure that will close up once again as we get out onto the start-finish straight to get the slipstream once again. And with this, it would be good to see just how good the slipstream is. A couple of car lengths back for the number 2 machine here of Roseborough, but we come up the hill. But look, already to the inside, halfway down the straight, Pinero is moving up. Maney might not have the lead for long and just doesn't lead over the line. Pinero leads to the line as the number 2 machine now gets the slipstream. Can they make it 3 wide? Coming up towards turn 1, they're actually going to be 2 by 2. Coming towards the braking zone, number 1 car on the inside there. Pinero goes to the lead once again as Roseborough's trying to get up the inside of turn 2.
Brilliant stuff. Still side by side as they emerge through the kink of 2, then in towards the braking zone of 3, side by side just in behind as well. Pinero is sandwiched on that inside line. Marnie sweeps his way around the outside, and now this back straight, bit of contact there. That's Barretto tumbling down to 6th place. His momentum is completely tanked, and you can see now a breakaway for our top 4, even our top 3 actually, because I think Plever was actually involved. And now a 3-horse race, at least for now, until they continue to fight. A bit of a squabble further back. Here comes that's Roseborough having a bit of a look. Now Pinero re-inheriting the race lead. Marnie not really with much to say about that, just trying to tuck it behind very late on the brakes from the number 5 machine of Plever, trying to close that gap and close in for that fight for first.
Or is that all wide? Barretto's going even further back. P10 now for that orange machine. Started the lap 1 leading the race, but unfortunately is dropping back and back as the race goes on. Just having a couple of battles here and there, and that is what you got to be careful. But once again, it's good to see that everyone is staying in a big long train of 12 cars. I was expecting it to open out a little bit more, but for sure this slipstream is keeping everyone in play, and that is what we like to see. So hopefully for the full 10 lap race. Pinero though gets back to the front after everything is sort of yo-yoing up and down a little bit, but still being able to get to the front, just showing why he's the highest I-rated driver on this field. Maney though, and as you say, Zach, Roseborough as well, pulling away the top 3, starting to try and sort of push away from everyone else.
Yeah, that is going to be their aim. Of course, it's much easier to win this, but I don't think Marnie's in on the memo. He's already going for the move to the right-hand side and is going to try and make this one stick. Pinero sees it coming, just decides to follow and try and go for the up and under, but I don't think that's quite going to work. So happily just to sit back, and I think it's actually a better thing to sit behind going through this final sector, because then you get the benefit of the slipstream down the pit straight again, and that is going to be, of course, to your benefit. It'll be interesting to see how strong it is if they can put alongside before the line, and they're going to be testing it throughout this race to see if it's better to lead or better to be in 2nd place come that final lap.
And Pinero did manage to get back to lead over the start-finish line last time around. This lap, I think maybe just a little bit too late it was. Mainly lead over the line, but Pinero gets there. And as you see, RaceSpot now pulling to that inside line, trying to get effectively a double slipstream now following him through. But is he going to be able to hold it on the inside side by side in the apex of turn number 1? Got Plever in the background trying to get up the inside there of turn 2 to get himself up into 3rd place. Not quite enough this time around, so mainly goes down into 3rd place now. And once again, everyone closes back up. We thought there was a bit of a 3-way breakaway, but instead Plever and Green behind have closed up, so it's now back into one big train.
Well, this is what we love to see. And of course, yeah, the momentum really does shift so quickly. You do not want to tank it at all, but RaceSpot and Pinero do not care. They don't care how many cars are behind them. They're going to fight for the race lead. Pinero, the number 1 machine, parking it on the left, but doesn't quite have the momentum. Marnie might also eye up a late break and move to the outside if he makes that one work. All the way around through turn 5. That is brilliantly done using the full extent of the circuit. On their way out, now uphill, RaceSpot breaking away to the extent of about half a second. Now also Plever trying to get involved. Pinero completely mugged around the outside there of Marnie. That was a brilliant move.
It certainly was, and that is great to see. The racing in this Spec Racer Ford has been so good so far on the opening 3.5 laps, and that is exactly what we want to see here for RaceSpot. Friday night prime time, something a little bit different once again, but definitely showing that the action can be had on all different categories of cars, as we're seeing Green here in this wonderfully green machine, of course, trying to stay on the back of this top 5 now, being puts himself in a very good position, trying to follow Plever up towards the front. But once again, the top couple of cars at this part of the track seem to break away a little bit, but then the slipstream over the course of the next 3 straights seems to bring everyone back together. Green there running a little bit wide through the kink as Murakami gets a bit of a run here, actually down towards Calendar Corner. Is the number 4 machine going to be looking towards the inside, having to think about it on the braking zone? Not quite this time around.
Yeah, it is a difficult corner to go for a move, but I mean, we've seen it before with Marnie a little bit further up. He's been able to close the gap to RaceSpot. Of course, that just again is a testament to how strong the slipstream is in these sort of smaller engined, slightly less on power, only about 135 brake horsepower, which you can definitely reach in your standard road car. So to have it in a race car definitely means that the slipstream boost that you get is going to be sort of exaggerated just a little bit as we tick off lap 4 onto lap 5, now marking the halfway point in this race. What a brilliant display of action it has been. And now once again down the pit straight where we've seen the majority of our action. Marnie pulls to the right hand side. Here comes Pinero though. Is he going to make it 3 wide? Pulls all the way to the inside, nearly tapping the inside pit barrier. Now side by side between Pinero and Marnie. Marnie already trying to commit to the outside line. Same to a RaceSpot to go around the outside of Pinero, and that is a running theme. Pinero getting beached on that inside and RaceSpot taking full advantage of it on their way downhill towards 3.
RaceSpot there on the outside, almost being squeezed onto grass a little bit, keeps that 2nd place. So is Pinero. At one point was looking to go for the lead, but remains in 3rd place. Incredible action here at Road America as we're getting on to the sort of second half of the race now. Plever there pulling out towards the inside of turn number 4, now coming all the way down the straight towards turn 5. Can he keep that going? As we've got Pinero now coming towards the inside behind RaceSpot, as Plever's still looking to try and make it now on the outside. Can he do so? Gets blocked off a little bit by Maney though, just with the way the cars were, and he's going to have to drop back into that 4th place as Pinero holds up on the inside as we come up the hill, all braking, trying to get it down towards that apex, and he does so, keeps that 3rd place. But Plever certainly looking quite aggressive as Green there around the outside. Can he keep that towards the king? Not quite enough, holds in that 5th place.
Oh, what action we're seeing. It's brilliant to sort of, we don't really know where to look. We don't know where to focus our eyes. It's just up and down, completely constant throughout the entirety of this race. It's a shame that we're already halfway through. I want more. They run their way through the carousel. Once again, Marnie still in 2nd place. No one can really seem to consolidate the race lead. They get up there and immediately are under pressure. They've got to hope for an incident or something a little bit further back if they want any chance. Marnie just running a little bit wide on the exit, kicking up a bit of grass, but fortunately it's not going to compromise them too much. In the slipstream again, as they're completely flat out through this entire section, RaceSpot, I think, does quite have the margin, but that's the thing. Does Pinero attack Marnie, or does he work with him to try and get onto the back of RaceSpot?
I think you're just going to have to try and be aggressive for every single position, it seems, around here. The places are swapping so often. You just got to keep on cycling yourself towards the front of the train. And as it stands at the end of lap 5, RaceSpot is going to be leading the way out of the final corner. But will he lead across the start-finish line? As many there looking very tasty behind in that number 3 car to get the slipstream as we come up the hill. The hill, of course, not helping these lower power cars. And you've got to be making sure you are getting the momentum going in the run out of that that final corner, turn 14 around this track. Number 3 car there goes to the inside as we've got Pinero trying to almost push him along to get the double overtake 3 wide as we come towards the end of the start. Finish straight to start lap 6 here, but can Pinero get it to the inside? It already passed. Roseborough having to jump to the inside for Plever around the outside now as Maney keeps that second place, but Roseborough now coming back on the exit up the inside of turn 2 towards turn number 3. Can Roseborough keep that? Not quite enough. It seems the outside line there of turn 1 seems to be good to hold it all the way through turn 2, but once again Plever's looking good but isn't able to challenge as Pinero goes back to the front.
Brilliant stuff. We'll say it lap in, lap out. Only 5 to go now as we once again downhill towards turn 5. Marnie once again on the re-offensive, Pinero defensive. Roseborough there, Plever as well with some incredible backwards momentum. Might want to get themselves involved. We've seen this before from Marnie. Already a nose ahead using the slingshot. Here comes Roseborough, the number 2 machine to the outside of Pinero. It seems that the number 1 is going to be able to hold firm on the inside as they run uphill towards 6 and of course into 7. Marnie with the extent of around about half a second lead, but that surely is not going to last for very long. But yeah, this is just brilliant stuff, and everyone keeping it so close together. The outside line, as we say, does seem to be favorable, maybe because of how these cars are. It's more beneficial to keep the minimum speed up than it is to minimize distance.
Yeah, when you go a bit wide on the exit, you can take that just a little bit more speed, and then of course that multiplies as you go down the next straight on your delta. You'll be able to see your delta just increasing if you get a really good exit. And I just noticed in the background as well, Murakami there going up into 5th place ahead of Green. Murakami there making up 3 places already, just the same as Maney there in the lead. So certainly loads of places, and you see Barretto there down in 9th place now. There's Roseborough going way too wide there. Pinero is just having a nice time of that one, as Plever's now actually going to be thinking of getting up into that 3rd place as we're getting side by side in towards the braking zone. Can Plever get up into the top 3 for the first time this race? Yes, he can. Alice Plever goes to the podium as it stands. Pinero up into 2nd place as Roseborough drops down a couple of places with making a mistake.
We can't call this at all. We won't even be able to call it at this point on the final lap. It is just constant action lap after lap. Yes, it doesn't really count for much at the moment until we do get to those sort of latter stages, the final couple of laps, but you just have to respect that these guys are fighting for every inch possible, every lap down this pit straight. In particular, Pinero already going for the race lead on that inside, and the slingshot that he gets, we see time and time again that the car that was in 1st place just gets freight trained by the now leading and of course the 3rd place car, and that is going to be Plever trying to make his way up. He could well win this race. Marnie late on the brakes though, very committed to sail around the outside of turn 1. Roseborough trying to go to the outside of Plever to make it 2 wide and 2 rows deep. That's not quite going to work because Marnie's outside momentum is able to consolidate him the lead, at least going into turn 3, but Pinero inside line for turn number 3 is not going to give him the best run coming out.
Crazy how quickly things change around here. Roseborough back up into 3rd, Plever down into 4th place as the slipstream once again. It happens all the way down this back straight towards turn number 5. Maney leads as it stands, but this could easily change coming towards the braking zone. Plever there gets back up into that 3rd place ahead of Pinero. Who's going to lead on the inside though? Roseborough thinking about it, trying to make it stick, though Maney holds it all the way around the outside there. The red and white machine now leads as we come up the hill, as we're getting Plever there on the outside as well, trying to make it stick around the outside of 6. That's a very difficult corner to hold it there as Roseborough holds on to that 2nd place in the end as Pinero goes back down in towards 4th place. But you can just see the cars behind them as well really hold it on all the way down to Bradshaw there. 8-car train at the front here with 4 to go at Road America.
I mean, the fact that we still have 8 cars potentially in for a shot of the race lead, I mean, anything can happen. There goes Pinero to the inside of the carousel. That's brave, bold, and committed. He's managed to make it stick inside line for this long right-hander. Is always going to be beneficial. Plever didn't quite manage to see that one coming, left the door open, and now has to tuck in behind in that red, white, and blue machine. The number 5 now tucking in behind, lost the podium place, but you can bet your bottom dollar that he is going to be back to put some pressure back onto the shoulders of Pinero. But still, Marnie, Roseborough, Pinero, Plever, and Murakami, your top 5. But do not expect that to stay the same as we approach the final couple of laps.
Yeah, every couple of corners this is changing position. Of course, just leading across the line is the most important one. Doesn't matter if you're on 5th place now. If you can get yourself towards the front in the last sort of 3 laps or so, that is of course what is going to be the important factors. Mainly leads as we come towards the final corner this time around. Pinero trying to get back towards the front. Amazing move up the inside of Plever earlier this lap. Can he do something similar coming towards turn 1? I wouldn't be surprised if once again we see the top 3 cars going 3 wide. Roseborough getting the slipstream up the hill, goes to the inside once again, and will take the lead towards the line. That is such important information for the final lap. Maybe actually want to be in second place, as Panera now goes to the lead, or at least tries to, gets a little bit blocked off there by the number 2. Not enough room to go to the inside. Pitbull has to lift off as Maney holds it all the way around the outside. This worked on the previous lap. Roseborough keeps it to the lead though, but will Maney be able to hold in second place? Yes, he just about does.
Does he want to eye up first? I'm not too sure he's bothered about second. Having a bit of a look towards turn 3. The space does close too quickly though. It's all about this exit. How quickly can you get back on full throttle? How quickly can you try and use the full 135 brake horsepower? As once again, you have to benefit off the slipstream. Marnie already eyeing up the counter attack to the left-hand side, the inside line. Here comes Panera though, riding on board. You can just see the sheer advantage that he gets, not having to punch a hole in the air, utilizing the hole that Roseborough and Marnie are punching for him, but not quite commit enough braking for turn 5. Not under any pressure. There goes Murakami and Pleaver running side by side just in behind them as well. But you can see there that Panero really not interested in going for the lead in towards turn 5, even though he probably could have at least followed Marnie through.
Yeah, I think that's just a bit more awkward part of the track than the likes of turn 1. It would have been a bit more of a dive, and instead just keep the momentum going and keep the flow going in this battle, because as you see just how fluid it is, you don't want to be losing any sort of large gaps, and that is how these top 8 are staying. But you're right, Murakami there making position after position. That is another one up there into 4th place, with Plever now dropping down once again. So that's the red and white car there in 4th place, certainly making some quiet progress over the course of this race. And as we get to the line in a couple of laps to go, potentially one to look out for. At the front though, it is mainly still leading. Has come down the back straight towards Canada corner once again. Is Roseborough going to be looking to the inside? He might not have an option as Panero is coming further and further behind. He stays behind those. Panero is going up the inside there. That'll be second place. Thank you very much. As Murakami there gets closer once again in the background.
Didn't even hesitate, was just like, all right, cheers, up the inside, sorted, and up into second place. Martin still leads. It's ebb and flow and lap after lap, but we still have the consistent Marnie, Panero, Roseborough right at the front. Murakami, though, is sort of silently moving their way up towards the front of the field. Green as well, in that, as we say, green and white machine, just there in 6th place, but trying to find his way through, try and pick a gap, and Marnie already on the defensive. Pulling to the left-hand side, though, goes Panero and Roseborough, bump drafting their way past, and you can see the advantage. Murakami as well might eye up a move. There's Green to the inside of Pleaver, but yeah, wow, Panero, Roseborough putting the pressure on Marnie straight away. Is he even going to be able to keep 3rd place at this rate? Murakami not quite able to. Pleaver looking to the inside, but leading on that run towards the line is definitely not the place to be.
Yeah, it definitely looks like you want to be in that second place. It is close, but there's just enough room to get yourself to the front. Panero's done that once again here. 2 laps to go, Road America. The Spec Racer Fords have been a great vote, and of course, get your votes in for next week. Plever there dropping down though to the back of this top 8 pack. Obviously making a bit of a mistake there. Had a bit of battles through turn 2 and 3 that time around, as Bradshaw's getting back up into that 6th place. 3 wide as we come towards turn 5. Who is going to be later on the brakes? Is it going to be inside? Is it going to be the outside? Looks like Green's there going to be holding on. Plever gets to the front as Bradshaw drops to the back of this pack after making a couple of positions, just showing you how important these places are. But the top 4 there have made a little bit of a breakaway as Green and the battles around him have just split up this field a little bit. So it's a top 4 battle as we have 1.5 laps to go.
Not long at all. Time is of the essence, and now this is where the moves really start to count. This is where you have to sort of move your way up, do or die. If you're not in that front pack come the final lap, if you're not really in sort of side the top 3, then you've not really got much of a chance. So Murakami, Green, the likes those of sort of 4th, 5th and 6th, they need to get a move on. They need to get into the mix and cement themselves sort of amongst this fight, because yeah, I mean, as much as anything can go wrong, that is realistically going to be those that succeed, no matter how close it is. That was a bit wide there off the exit, going into the kettle bottoms from Murakami. He's lost a little bit of ground there, but here comes Roseborough to the outside of Canada corner. That is going to be definitely very, very brave, but we've seen Braver to the outside, even reach the apex on his own. That is very bold on the brakes, brilliantly done, but now he leads going down the pit straight. He doesn't have the margin to solidify it, but maybe that's what he wants going on to the penultimate lap, because he's going to then be in second come next time round.
Yeah, this is a big lap indeed to try and work yourself out in the train. We're starting to get some breakaways, some splinters in this top 8 pack. As we said, that top 4 now just starting to break away. And now Pinero to the inside leads across the line there just by about half a tenth of a second. Final lap time. Roseborough to the outside of turn number 1. And of course, Maney and Murakami in behind. Who is going to win? Let's find out in the next 2.5 minutes. Roseborough all the way around the outside there, testing the limits of the brakes, making it work, holding on to that lead. Pinero a little bit too defensive there on the inside, couldn't make it stick, and Manny now is trying to make it stick on the outside, but Pinero there, even though he led across the line, couldn't lead into turn 1. But on this next lap coming, leading across the line is going to be the most important thing. Weaving now to try and break the slipstream, as they all know the final opportunities are coming. Just a couple of straights left to do so and to try and make your positions. Roseborough still leading, although we've got Maney all the way around the outside, potentially with the pair of them through turn 4 into turn 5. Can he get strong enough on the brakes? Looks like he might be able to hold it all the way around the outside there. To the lead goes Maney from 3rd place.
Is that where he wants to be, though? It was a brilliant move. He's done it in style, but does he want to lead on this final lap? Roseborough pushing him through, going uphill towards 6, a little bit wide for the number 2. That's going to tarnish his momentum, could give Maney the extent that he needs, the lead that he needs to solidify this race, but only time will tell. About half a lap left to go in this race, and Roseborough is putting a world of pressure on. Pinero is falling out. It has to be said that this could turn into a 2-horse race unless the 2 of them come together or both of them make a mistake through the carousel for the final time. This is where you cannot make a mistake. For Maney, this is the most important last lap of his life, but for Roseborough, putting the pressure on, closing that gap now to about 3.5 tenths. I seriously don't know who's going to come out on top. Is the toe strong enough for Roseborough to get alongside on that run towards the checkered flag?
Yeah, Roseborough just needs to keep this calm in Canada corner. Looks like it's going to be a 2-way battle to the final part of the lap. But Roseborough there coming towards the outside, trying to slow him down. He's done this a couple of times around the outside, side by side between the 2. Maney's just going to hold on to that racing line, keeps the lead, as Pinero isn't going to be close enough to get involved in this battle. It is going to be a 2-way run to the start-finish line. Who is going to lead out of the final corner at this moment in time? It is going to be Maney there. We got George Maney leading. Is that enough? Is it going to be enough? Is the slipstream going to slingshot that number 2 machine of Brandon Roseborough all the way to the line, side by side between the 2? There's such a long run to the start finish line. Who is going to get it at the line, side by side between the 2? Roseborough just gets his nose to front and takes the victory there. Maney will be disappointed with that one, but Roseborough, such a good race, making the moves when he needed to, and had himself in the perfect place, which was 2nd position out of the final corner, gets the run to the line and takes the victory.
He knew exactly what he needed to do. He set it up on that penultimate lap with 2 to go. He knew that he'd get overtaken down and towards turn 5, but he was fine with that. He was okay with that because he knew he'd get the run to the line. He left it to the smallest of margins, less than a tenth of a second between Roseborough and Maney come the checkered flag. What a race that was. What a display of action that was. Great respect between everyone. And when we've got 3 tenths between the top 3, not quite as close as what we had at Talladega last week, but for these cars at Road America, that's pretty much as good as you can get.
Yeah, that was great as well. For over 20 minutes of action, less than 3 seconds covering the top 8. That is some amazing racing, just showing what the Spec Racer Ford can do. But let's go over the results anyway. Roseborough there taking victory by less than a tenth of a second from George Maney there in 2nd place. And a great fight with Marco Pinero behind as well. But the Italian driver just falling short of the battle there, losing too much time through turn 5 and 6 on the final lap. Murakami there rounding out the top 4 with Alice Plever in the top 5. He was never really able to hold on to those podium positions. Green rounding out the top 6, only 1.5 seconds there off the lead, with Bradshaw in 7th and McCain there in 8th place. Barretto, unfortunately, had that bit of an issue, dropped out of that pack, and just, once I lost the slipstream, couldn't get back involved there, with Andrew Love rounding out the top 10, but still only 12 seconds off, with a close battle with Daniello there in 11th place and Cantor for 12th, with Murakami getting the fastest lap there on lap 6. And Zach Sweeney, that was certainly a crazy bit of action. We saw so many overtakes there. The action was just brilliant, and probably just another excuse to get racing this car, because it certainly seems like it's produces some great racing.
It was an unknown for us coming in, but we were not disappointed at all. We looked at it and we were like, are we going to have some good racing out of this? You know, small engine, not that much in terms of power, not that much in terms of aero, but it delivered. It didn't need any of that. It just needed a good track, some good drivers, and some slipstream to really deliver, and that is exactly what it did. So the community, thank you for your votes. Thanks for casting your votes. And, well, if you want to have as good a decision as you have this week, do get involved on the RaceSpot Discord, to cast your vote for the next time out for week 11 of Friday Night Primetime, because Cam, I'd love to do more of that. It's what we've had all season, and to just come into the final part of season 4 and have the same standard that we've had is just going to be even more sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be great. 2 weeks remain of the year, in fact, to finish out season 4 before, of course, we get towards the likes of week 13 and build updates and everything that will happen for 2023. If you want to get yourself involved, get yourself on the RaceSpot TV Discord, and the voting that will open up sometime this week. And then, of course, if you want to be involved on the action on screen, get yourself into the top split of that series, and you could be featured here on RaceSpot Friday Night Primetime. But that is it from week 10. Myself, Cameron Roger, and Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth with Zach Johnson doing the cameras behind the scenes. We thank you for watching. Until next Friday, we wish